Well, it's very interesting what you might find when you research your family lineage. I knew I had a family that went all the way back to the Civil War, and they fought in the Confederacy, even though I'm from up north. They were all from down south. That was my father's side. And, but it also goes all the way back to the American Revolution. And there's three, and it's definitely solid. That stuff is solid as anything, and three in American Revolution. The other thing is, though, you know, and I looked at the story about, I knew my great-grandfather was the illegitimate son of a duke, and a Duke of England, and I never really paid attention to what the hell that meant. I know, like, it doesn't mean anything because he's Roman Catholic, and I'm Roman Catholic, and you don't get in nothing with that. Plus, he was illegitimate. But, you know, then I looked into it, it actually was Duke Albert Edward who became Edward VII, you know, but, you know, you ain't going to have a birth certificate on that, but, you know, besides having all the anecdotal evidence, you know, having a English-looking tall person that looks very English amongst a family of Italians and having a special last name that was deliberately given to you because you were the illegitimate son of a duke, that normally means, it's a lot more solid than a lot of the stuff that's rumors from, you know, English in England, you know, because it's illegitimate. He had supposedly other illegitimate children or whatever. But what came out interesting recently, though, and it was from Greg Hallett's research, was that Lionel Rothschild, Nathan Lionel Rothschild, was actually the father of Albert Edward, Duke Albert Edward. So, you know, I don't know how he comes up with that research, but he seems to be a good researcher, and it seems like sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. But it reminded me of this story, like, Luke, I am your father. So, actually, that would mean that my three greats-grandfather would have been Nathan Lionel Rothschild. Oh, my God, that's freaking wild. Anyway, so you might want to check his blog. It actually has it on here about you know, I don't know where, you know, I don't see any kind of information like he talks about it, but I don't see like what it says exactly, because he says the information came out in 2010 and 2012 from sealed files, and he was able to find out about, and you know, in some ways it does make sense, because the British royal family is the only one that actually really went up in money versus, you know, the other royal families. The British royal families gotten more wealthy, more powerful, so maybe it is. I don't know, maybe that kind of explains a couple things to me, because I don't know why, but I've always had a head where I seem to got in with aggressive Jewish businessmen. I don't know what the hell that was, but I don't know, maybe I am a little Rothschild, I don't know. But, you know, hey, you know what, if I'm a little bit of Rothschild, all that means is I'm a little bit of Jewish. What the hell? No problem by me. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't really mind this religion, actually, to tell you the truth. But the thing is, not at all. Even though I'm Roman Catholic. Actually, I'm going to tell you a little story, too. The Emperor Julian, they used to call him Julian the Apostate, but the Christians used to call him that because he persecuted the Christians. He was an emperor, I think it was in 363 A.D. He actually was going to build a second temple. And I know they got other stories out there about, you know, there was fire and brimstone coming from the sky that stopped all the workers because it wasn't time yet. You know, that's in the ecclesiastical journals, right? By the Christian side, right? But actually what happened was Julius, was it? Yeah, Julian. He was like a philosopher, a stoic. He actually was fighting at the head of his troops against the Persians. And he received wounds. But instead of like going back and healing his wounds, he insisted on going back and fighting in the fight itself, and the wounds basically opened up again, and he died. And that's really where the policy changed, where the Romans stopped rebuilding the Second Temple. Actually, the Second Temple was destroyed by Rome. It was almost rebuilt by Rome too. If Julian would have survived, you know, he was actually fighting the Persians. It would have been a totally different world today. Isn't that amazing? But who the hell knows? But anyway, I don't know what the heck it means to be Jewish 100%, because I was looking into some of it, and it's very complicated. That's for sure. Not a very simple religion. Actually, a lot of the religions, well, it depends on what it is. I guess average, I don't want to get into religion, but anyway, so if I'm Jewish, maybe that means, I don't know. But, actually, the Duke story, I think, is very solid, but I don't know how well Greg Hallett's research is about the Duke's father actually being a Rothschild, but that I don't know. He says it's good, but I don't know if it's good, If that's good, then I'm part Rothschild. But then again, who the hell knows? I mean, it's pretty well diluted. But I'm not trying to say anything special about it. But it's a freaking wild point because you can find a lot of crazy things in your history. So if you're Jewish, defend yourself. And you might have to wear that yellow star, but I ain't gonna. Well, actually, if I would say, hey, I'm wearing a yellow star. Too bad. I'll wear it upside down, sideways, whatever. Screw it, Because actually, I consider myself to be a little bit of a maverick revolutionary, and I'll go against the grain when things are unpopular. And I guess that's one way. And I seek truth and justice. I tell you one thing. I've always, I know a lot of people disagree with this, but I'm not in with the majority. I'm telling you that right now. I always see a lot of Jewish people as people that are. I mean, yes, I know it could be. There's different kinds of people. There's good people and bad people, and it's not like everybody freaking Jewish is like God, But I'm saying is, it's generally speaking, Jewish people are freaking pretty damn good for justice and truth and all that type of stuff. So, anyway, but you find this commonality throughout all kinds of people. But keep your nose to the grindstone and keep working. That's really what the deal is. But yeah, I found out some pretty interesting ideas. It's like, I was like, I just researched the crap out of this, and I'm like, I just don't know what kind of research Greg Hallett actually has, but he's insisting that the Rothschild. I tell you the truth, man. You know what? I only tell you this. A lot of people talk about the Rothschilds on the internet a lot, and they think of him as like Darth Vader, But I'm going to tell you, if the Rothschilds all just took a trip to Mars and they just were off this Earth and had nothing to do with earthly policies ever again, the human race would still have the same problems. There'd be somebody else to take their place. It could be another religion. It could be something else. It doesn't matter. It's all for giddy minds, basically. But when you look back, I didn't expect to find this. I was like, I did not expect to find this. It's almost like, it reminded me of that thing on Star Trek, Hey, Luke, I am your father. I mean, it's that shocking. But it's like, I don't really think nothing bad about it, I'll tell you the truth. If I ever, I mean, everybody's people, you know what I mean? At one point in time, the Rothschilds were just little businessmen, you know what I mean? At one time, that's really how it goes. Everybody thinks they're like this and that, but it's at one point in time they weren't nothing either. So, things change, and the world is constantly evolving. So, but the one thing I always say seems to stay the same is, it's pretty interesting that Jewish people have always survived, and they've been around a hell of a long time. And to tell you the truth, I think their mission is, well, let me say it this way. I'm not going to get religious or political here or anything like that. I'm going to say their true mission is basically to improve the quality of mankind. I think it really is. Maybe in a leadership role as, the ones that are on the top, but the whole premise of that is to improve the quality of all mankind. That's kind of how I look at it. So in a lot of ways, I'm probably always was a little bit Jewish in spirits, but I always got to remember that, when you're going against the grain, be prepared to be persecuted. That's for sure. Anyway, so let me just put this out because I just found it to be interesting. I was like, man, I'm still blown away by this bullshit. I was like, it's not bullshit. I mean, it's what it is. It's like the Duke story is not a birth certificate. It's not something that can be dismissed lightly for a number of reasons. I don't want to get into it because then it gets a little too personal. But as far as the Duke being lineage, because actually he later became Edward VII. But as far as the Duke actually having lineage to Rothschild, that I don't know about, except that it all rests upon Greg Hallett. But then again, I keep thinking that the British royal family has done well financially, and we all know that even back in the 19th century, it was known that Lionel Nathan Rothschild was basically the puppet master for all the kings. If that was actually his flesh and blood, I don't know. It would kind of make sense that the British why the British royal family has thrived over the years, where other royals have kind of diminished and gone, by the wayside, So that's a little, I don't know. So anyway, it's got me thinking about this deal, but I just figured I'd put it out because if you actually search your family lineage, you probably may find a number of wild things that you probably never found. So it's kind of interesting.